Okay. Hopefully live again. I just reconnected to Restream.
Oh, I think we're here.
Sorry about that. Wow. I
Yay!
don't know. Looks like our restreaming service just died and restarted. Exciting. Sorry, folks. Um, okay, yeah. So we're looking at where they were and what they were up to during this time, and it looks like yeah they can't really call this 5 pin either. I don't think they can't even take it. I don't know why they bother holding this 5 man. It's
They're worried
hard
about
safe.
it. I don't know.
Yeah, they must be worried about other people, but I wouldn't be worried. I wouldn't be worried about me, who's folding hard. I wouldn't be worried about Deson, who's thrown like 6 and 7 man like they don't care, and it's hard safe on our reach. So I would have thrown the 5 man here and not like.
But D-San's not playing safe,
Hmm.
and they've not thrown anything on that Suji line of the 5 man.
No, I throw the 5 man, and they don't. They also don't take advantage of this opportunity to get rid of the 5 man. Right after I throw it, this is their chance. It's entirely safe right now, and they don't get rid of it.
Yeah, I'm hoping
Um,
that Korak's going to come in and tell us why, because Korak's a smart player, and I am struggling also with this 5 man.
3 man comes out, which is
It must be because they think it's dangerous for D-San.
yeah, that must be it.
And it's so I've got it. I've got it. I've got it.
Uh,
You
uh.
can throw it because he can't cheat. He can't call a cheat for it.
Oh, they don't want to give Deson even the
They don't want
opportunity
to.
to
They don't want to
chit.
accelerate his hand, right? Could be a
Yeah, that
she, but
makes
they don't
sense.
want to accelerate. Yeah, D-San's hand.
Yeah,
And that
and they
again,
never.
this is the kind of thinking that Japanese players think, and I do not think enough. I'm only thinking about is this going to be their winning tile? And I
Mm,
don't think, well, actually, even if I throw tiles for
mm.
them to call, I'm accelerating their
Yeah, you're
journey
giving you're
to
giving them
Tempai.
power to get somewhere, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And like, um, and that makes sense. And they didn't really lose anything losing that 8 pin anyway.
Mm.
Like any of the calls they needed to make to get Tempai, um, they would have had to
Korak
make
wants him to
otherwise.
call it. I see. Okay, you want someone
That's
else
kind
to
of
shut down
true.
the
Like
dealer
like
reach.
like dealing into Deson at this point for something gentle wouldn't be that bad. Although Deson has a monster here, because Deson is like on the right tile. Deson is Pinfu Tanyao Ipe Kodora.
Yeah.
Um, on the wrong tile, it's just Pinfu Dora. But whew. All right, so we all make it through. We all hang out. Poor Season loses more points. Sad times for them. And now we're on hand number 3. We're still in East 1. Very exciting. A lot of stuff going on in this game. I don't love this hand very much, but I'm probably just going to throw West and see what it brings me.
Oh yeah. Okay, fifth turn. Fifth turn is what we're looking for.
Okay, we get another 6. So we throw a Chun, that's fine. We got a 4, so I throw this one. This is also looking very Tanyawi. Maybe this is a mistake to cut out the 1 so early. An optimist. I'm only a terminal optimist. I probably would have wanted to throw this Hots, but I didn't, so it didn't happen. 9, I'm just not doing it. It looks like I'm just saying, like, Tanyo seems to be where this is at.
Korak doesn't
Um,
like the 1 man. You
yeah,
want to keep the 1-3-5
because you
shape.
lose you lose
Yeah.
the acceptance. But I'm pushing this. I'm just done. I think at this point I am. I'm kind of like I'm done with this dealer.
Right.
I'm done sitting here folding. I have a hand that I can rush, so let's rush it.
Yeah.
Which again,
So
this might be way too
your
aggressive.
my hard agrees. Like there is no pussyfooting around. He's just like cheating that forward is a good decision.
Well, once I've thrown the 1, I've committed. Like I'm in
Yeah.
this mode. I'm glad he agrees. That's cool. Because
Yeah.
I'm
It
like, yeah,
is.
we gotta just do it.
So his reasoning here is it's a cheap hand. However, you're at a point where CSAN could be bankrupted, and this is
Uh,
run is a situation where if someone goes bankrupt, then the game ends.
right,
Therefore, even if it's a cheap hand, it could secure you the second place, right?
right. And
Mm,
yeah, Korak's right. There's 1600 in the middle too. So even
mm,
this cheap hand is 2600, which is not insubstantial.
mm,
Gets rid of bad shape, yeah. And so now I just call my way to Tempai. Here I am waiting on the 3 so, just
mm.
chilling out.
Yeah, and he
Um,
says, and because the shape that, so the next calling shape with the 4-5, and you call for the 3 or the 6 pin, that was a nice strong weighting shape as well.
mm,
So, and he just said that was I guess you win because he says it was absolutely splendid. I'm not sure, amigoto na. How do I mean, maybe that's not the great translation. Splendid might be a little bit too. Yeah, it's compliments though.
All
Compliments
right, yeah.
to the
If I'm
chef of
pushing,
Dave.
I'm thinking. I'm like, if I'm pushing, I'm pushing. It's time to push it. Let's get Tenpai as fast as we can. Let's hang out. I really wanted, and now I get more amazing, awesome Dave luck because now I can swap it out for the 3/6. So, and now I'm in pretty much the best weight I can be on this hand. And I get a Dora. So okay, cool. Although I will note that when playing here, I do commonly at least think about 5 acceptance specifically because of red 5s.
Hmm.
5 acceptance is something that I do keep in my head and value.
Hmm.
Yeah, if it was I can't do anything, right? If people go into reach, I'm just gonna sit here being sad forever. So I might as
This
well
is
just
why
play.
Yamai calls it splendid because it sounds shocking.
Yeah,
I kid you not,
yeah.
JPML folks get so
Oh
excited
yeah,
about
Sanshoku.
Sanshoku.
You're right. Now I can do Sanshoku.
Oh, they get really like, everyone loves Sanshoku for some reason. Like you do it, and everyone's like, oh, another one, another hero for JPML. I don't know.
Season reaches, but like I don't care. I can't care. It's being played. It's happening. I'm not bailing, and I'm drawing fairly safe tiles, so who cares? But
I mean, but I think here's a point, right? There's a really big problem here in that Sisan could bust out, so you don't
yeah,
have much time now.
but I'll just sumo it instead because that's what happens. So I
You didn't
sumo it.
sumo the Sanshoku. See
I
now,
didn't
you're not a
sumo. It's
hero.
a bad
You're
sumo,
not
which
a
ruins my
hero.
luck.
You're not a hero.
But the sumo does get me 4,600 points because now there's 2,000 in the middle, and it's 2 and there's 2 homba. That I was gonna say it's 2 and 30 for 2,000
Yeah.
plus 2 homba and 2 reach sticks. So it's a
It's an
total of 4,600.
important win here.
Pretty good score for a quick ass hand like this.
It's an important
Um,
win as well. Like now you can get first.
I mean, yeah. Now I'm in a solid second, and I'm not too far from first, and I'm the dealer.
So,
So
Chad,
and
I'll give you a bit of background to the Sanshoku problem. I started off loving Sanshoku as a joke because you'd see these profiles from these pro players and all they'd be like, my favorite hand is Sanshoku, Sanshoku. They all say Sanshoku. And I'm like, what's the matter with these people? Sanshoku is not that great. I mean, wouldn't your favorite hand be Daisangan or something cool? And then slowly I turned. And I was like,
yeah,
actually,
two-door call goper. Exactly.
Sanshoku's pretty good.
I'm sitting here now. I'm like, well, crap. I'm the dealer, and I have 2 Dora. This is now my time to shine. Like I gotta move. This is a hand that must be
Dave
played.
learned how to. Okay, so again, I'm gonna quote
Yes.
I'm gonna quote Yamai very literally here. And he's like, "You should be in a bit of a no." He's like, "You're in a bit of a hurry this time."
But yeah, it's true. It's true. C-san's obviously feeling a little stressed.
Mm.
A-san doesn't seem to have that much to worry about. D-san might be a little nervous right now, but I got 2 Dora. I gotta go. So let's see what we can make
so
happen.
let's get to the 5th round. We've got a comment.
West
so
goes.
you're in a hurry, but
Shun
he
can
doesn't think that
go.
you hurried in the right way. You're not hustling the right way.
Haku goes. This is 5th round. So this 7, maybe what I should have done is call it.
Are we on the 5th?
Did
you call it or did you not call it?
Oh, I did call it.
He thinks you shouldn't call it.
Interesting.
Because it's already a good shape there, and what you've left yourself is not a good shape.
Yeah, I've left myself just waiting on this 5, which is kind of gross. Because now what I have left in my hand is I need a 5 and I need a 3. These are bad shapes.
So Korak agrees with what you did and disagrees with what Yamai did, and he said he'd call it every time.
We can't Pondora either.
Yeah, do you know what? I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I probably wouldn't pawn it because I'm imagining I'm gonna throw that 4 pin out, and I'm not gonna. If I could tidy up the other shapes, like a 6-7-7 shape is a nice shape. I'd want to if I'm gonna call.
Is a nice shape, yeah.
If I'm gonna call, I want to call on one of the lousy shapes.
Yeah, I definitely would have been much more hype to call if I got a 3. Like 3-mon would have been a great.
Correct. Of course, we're bloody calling Dora.
Yeah,
dealer.
I'm not gonna not call
Someone
Dora
throws 3 pin. If someone does that, that is
frankly,
my juicy Dora.
Forgetting even calling, if I could just flip them down and show everyone I'd do it. just for the impact on the table.
Dave, we know how many draw you have when you go like, this hand's garbage. It's just garbage. The more
I'll tell you a
garbages
story in a
you've
bit.
got.
Remind me to tell you a funny story in a bit about optimism. But this is a hustle call. I'm moving, and now Asan, I get lucky, and Asan gives me my 3 mon.
Yeah, but this, do you know what? This 5-pin weight is really lousy, Dave, because you
It
can't even
is.
easily upgrade it because you've already got 3 7s locked in.
It is.
It's an easy
This is a
Tenpai
rough spot.
correct, but it's a lousy
It's
Tenpai.
a rough spot. I agree. In terms of like how good it is, although if I do get the 3rd door into my hand, I cut the 6 and wait on 2 4 5, which is pretty kick ass.
Yeah,
So I
sure.
can I can now. I'm not gonna say this was a conscious plot, but
No.
with this shape, I can accept another door into my hand,
Yeah, I
which
mean,
is nice.
okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I just think that you can't upgrade on 6.
No,
It,
you're absolutely right. And again, I'm not going to take credit and say I consciously did this. But yeah, just draw. You're right, actually, Quark. That's exactly what has to just happen. Is just draw the red 5.
I bet he does
Um,
now because he's just a twat.
Now with the 8, I'm kind of. This is distressing to me
Hmm.
because this kind of seals my fate. Because now even if I get that 4, like I'm not going to make my weight the 7 over the 5.
Hmm.
That's a terrible idea. But by throwing this 8, even drawing the 7, I now can't take it as an upgrade because it's
Hmm.
fruity 10.
And you can't
So
even really pawn the Dora here, right? Because then you're going to be left with a shitty 1-tile pair weight.
it's not that much more shitty than the 5 weight, though. Think of it that way.
I guess because I would have, okay, you're right. Because I would have got myself into a situation where I could upgrade my lousy weight, but you've got yourself into a situation where you cannot upgrade your lousy weight.
No. So it's actually not that worse to be on
Tank
a
is
tanky
fine.
weight like this.
I like the way Cork.
Correct.
Have
Thank
you
you,
been
Correct.
having
I
a couple of
appreciate your
bottles of wine
support.
today?
And Season, yes. Season's desperation. Season throws the red 5, and I'm thinking this is good news for Dave because Season is clearly feeling the heat here with their push. And
Cork,
now
he's
Season
aggressive. I
throws
love
my
it.
delicious 5, and I win Tenhou Dora 2 off of Season. Which is not enough to end the game. Now, what I'm curious about here is what was Season protecting? Itsu.
Do you not
That's
think?
it.
Do you not think Cisan's stressed now? That's the problem.
Possibly, yeah. It's possible Season's just like, I need the deal to get to me. I need to make something happen.
Yeah.
But Season deals the 5 into me. Yeah, like that's I don't know if I would call that I don't know, man. Maybe Season is just feeling like I need to do something. I need to make something happen.
We've
I
all
can't just
been
fold
there,
the
right?
game.
Like,
Yeah, maybe
I'm
that's
gonna
their
bust
vibe
out
right
if I
now.
can't change the way this game is flowing.
Yeah. And so instead I get Tenhou Dora 2 as dealer of Season, which now takes me into first place with 41-4, and that makes me happy.
Okay.
This
all
draw
right.
makes me happy.
Let me get the notes up for this hand.
Maybe I'm sure there's some hand where I just balls it up and
This is really short. This one.
you might
Fourth round.
count it
Yeah.
as 3 question marks. Like
3 question marks and an exclamation mark. That would be the.
yeah, just because there's always so many hands where you're just like, no one must know. Like
See me after
this
class.
never be seen. So I feel like West might not have been the best start for this because this hand does have, I don't know, it feels like it has flush potential, but maybe that's just foolish. Yeah, like this hand feels strong because I have these dragons.
Wait,
but it's
have
not
I loaded
really
up the
very
right?
strong.
I loaded up the
9
right.
man is not a terrible throw to start. Yeah, Hedge of the Honitsu. That's kind of why I'm looking down on my own West.
Sorry, I don't have notes on this one. I'm sorry, I don't
No
have
notes.
notes on this one. No notes on this one. So
3 question marks and a frowny face. Like this. Oh. Okay, so now the 9 man. I'm really happy to have this 5 pin because
I'm
now it's like,
confused.
okay, we're cramming some value into this. Maybe we do want to hedge the Honitsu. But no, I'm actually now just looking at finishing this fast. I think Hots is out, so I'm just gonna see if I can make it happen.
yeah, Pez is a good thing or a
9
bad
man
thing.
goes.
He's just shaking his head, his fingers over the keyboard. And...
Season reaches, and how do I feel about this? Let's see how I feel about this.
I'm sorry, I'm not respecting his reach.
I can play the North. I don't care. 8's now safe, so I don't feel too stressed anymore. I play the 8 because 7/8's just a better shape. Okay, that's actually a good way to both play safe and improve my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no!
Don't can.
I don't. Oh, look how smart and cool I am. Look how smart and cool I am.
I feel like this
No,
is,
no,
this is
no,
This can is the Brexit vote version for
no.
Mahjong.
Con, while the desperate player is in reach and I'm not Tenpai, seems like a bad move. We can look, though. Let's look at the end of the game. Let's go through
Yeah,
the
I feel
wall
like
and see what I
who
would have
likes
gotten if I
chaos
con.
can.
No, I don't think it's worth it. I don't need, and maybe the only reason that might be a wrong decision, although I think the fact that Season's in reach makes it more right. If I'm hoping for Season to bust out, I might want to put more Dora on the table. If A-San or D-San were in reach, I might even consider it just to put more Dora on the table, just to up the chance that C-San does something a little nuts, deals in, and gets busted out. But
I don't know. Like I don't, yeah, but you're so close to top.
in this situation, yeah, like in this situation, I don't think it's a good play. But we'll look. We'll look at the end and see, did Dave make a big mistake?
No, you can't can that.
I could.
Yeah. Me and Korak are here just being, please, geez, don't, no,
Okay,
can.
so I'm not folding because I'm throwing this east, and I'm keeping the 6, 7, 8. Which is maybe, I mean, the east isn't the most dangerous thing in the world to throw, but
It's not the most. I mean, what else?
I
guess
did
it's a bit half-assed now because you're not folding and you're also not pushing. I don't.
Well, now I can throw the 1 pin. So now here I am. Here I am, Ishan 10, kind of, sort of. It's not a great Ishan 10, but it's Ishan 10.
Yeah, Korak's thinking more hard forward and just getting rid of that red 5. Hi, Riddler.
Hi, Riddler. This is really what's it's gonna come down to what I draw. The 9 just came out. Okay, so far I'm just getting stuff that's not forcing me to make the choice.
This is not a fold.
No. Here I call it and I throw the 4.
This is
And
not
now
a fold.
I'm ready on the 3. No, I'm pushing it.
I just, that
I
4 pin is super risky. It's adjacent to the tile that was reached, and I'm like, is this worth the push?
We'll see. They're the north.
Really? You don't mind that 4 pin? I'm not a big fan of it.
No, I agree. That 4 pin is rough. The 1 pin's out. That's true. 1 pin's out, so 4 is reasonably safe. You can see, I can see 3 5s, so that's true. For the 4 7 weight, it's only 1 chance. It's a turn 4 reach too, so I'm kind of like, it's probably bad.
That's true. I'll go for that. Yeah, it's an early reach, but I still could have been like a 5 5 6, and they discarded the 5 out of it.
I throw the 3-man and.
But I take the argument, Cheryl, that it's a very early reach, and therefore it's unlikely to be a 5 5 6 situation. But I guess your dealer. I don't know. Don't like it.
Why do I do this?
Because you don't want to throw the tile adjacent to the Dora.
Yes, that's why. Because Tuso's adjacent to the Dora. And I don't want to throw it. He threw a Dora, but 2 Dora have come out, but there's still plenty of Dora opportunity. Yeah, so I'm okay. Okay, that's why. I'm like, if I'm gonna play this hand, and apparently I've decided I'm playing this hand, I'd rather play with a 3-man.
I don't think you need to play this hand.
I agree. And this is where I fold. Because the 1 is also Dora inclusive, and we haven't seen any of this stuff yet. And I'm like, this is a bridge too far because it's right next to Dora. I don't know if this is the right time to decide bridge too far. But this is when I decide bridge too far. And it's get rid of Haku time. And I'm sad about this because the 1 comes... Yeah, I'm still Tenpai. Yeah, and the 1 comes out right after, which makes me very sad.
So for the kids who are on this who don't know what K10 means, that means you've got the shape of Tenpai, but you don't have a Yaku, so you can't call win. It's like a shape Tenpai. But now I just
continue to fold because I'm worried about the 6. Which maybe I should not be because the 9 and the 3 have come out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worrying about the 6 now.
Yeah, I shouldn't be worrying about the 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't, I feel like I'm not...
Oh, wow. Okay. So, sneakily, our player left wins on the 5, so... this is one of those rockin' weights. It's a 2-pin, 5-pin. Oh no! I'm sorry.
No, it's not a rocking weight. It's just a dull weight.
It's just a 5 weight. Sorry, I'm used. If you have like 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, and then 4, 4, 4, 5, 6, it's a really kick-ass weight. But I misread it.
It's because you're looking on the side. No one can see these things on the side.
Head's tip. All right, so Asan sneaks it out. Yeah, I don't know. You're right. Like maybe it was not the time. Like like switching on the one so for Tempai isn't the craziest move, I don't think. Although if now's when I'm backing down, I'm not sure why. But fine. But then being scared of the 6, I think, was too much. The 3 safe, the 9 safe, the 6 is almost definitely safe. I probably could have held out with the 6.
Yeah, I'm okay with that Haku throw too.
The 6 pin was safe already, at least on the dealer.
The 3-man cut is yeah. I think the 3-man cut comes to whether you feel bold enough to throw out the 2 bamboo, if this is the way you're playing.
The 3-man cut was ballsy. The 3-man cut was, I think, the ballsiest thing. The 4-pin and the 3-man. The 4-pin has some backing as to not being insane, but the 3-man was just gutsy. I got away with it, but it was very aggressive.
You wanted to chase your can rabbits, remember?
Oh yeah. What are the? Oh no, wait. What would have happened if I'd conned? It would have opened up. Oh, I would have drawn a 6-pin. So this con would have happened when? It would have happened here. So if I conned this, I would have drawn a 6-pin and flipped 6 mon as another Dora.
I would have changed the game significantly.
Yeah, and what was our friend doing? 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 7, 7, 1, 2, 3. It was a 7 so only weight. It was just a bad weight. With a Dora in there, but it was just reach Dora. Is that worth reaching? I'm like, that's an upgradable weight for Pinfu, but
I think they're in a stressed position. I mean, they've lost a lot of points,
spot.
and they haven't, before
they
haven't even seen dealer yet,
Yeah. They're a little stressed there. And then end of this hand. They lose only 2,900, so Seeson lives to fight another day, and this is Seeson's dealer time.
Yeah, I agree with Cork and Kura. Like,
I don't think it's terrible.
You don't have the points to piss about with. You just have to go.
Yeah, and you also need to make an impact on the table. You need people to pay attention. You need people to not just be like, "You're terrible." It could have been upgraded, but like I agree. I don't think it was an overtly bad play because of the speed. Because of the speed.
All right. Yeah, where are we? Okay, so fourth turn is the one I want to.
We get our 9, so now we technically have enough to become Tenpai. We're 2 Shanten. I keep this 2 because maybe something good will happen. Why am I... Oh, I'm keeping 1, 2, 3 over the 8, 9 because of Sanshoku potential. I throw the 7 as is. That's 4th turn. The answer is probably throw the south.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't say which one to throw, but Dora's 6, so what are you doing?
Yeah, yep. I think I realized that a second after I did it, and I was like, wow, that's so dumb.
Yeah.
I also had other things I needed to complete throwing.
Yeah, Dave does like Itsu a little too much sometimes. And and next was the 9th round.
Okay, so the 7. Now here's my Dora that makes me regret it, so I just straight throw it because I've already cut that off for myself, but that was dumb. 5-pin. Oh, so this is 9th round, right?
I'm trying to understand.
So getting this 5-pin makes me think I'm gonna hold it with this, and that I need some other pair somewhere else. But maybe the answer was I should be cutting 1, 2 again. Like I think I'm reading Sanshoku too hard.
Yeah, that's exactly what he says basically. Yes,
I'm holding Sanshoku too hard here.
Your priority is to move the dealer around.
Because I don't want Seeson getting extra time.
Yeah, and you don't want obviously your main rival Asan to start.
Right. And now here, I feel like I should be cutting... I mean, this is what I'm going to do. I want to call the Haku and cut 1, 2 and be happy. But I don't know how that's going to happen. There's only 1 Haku left on the table, so it might never show up. I'll throw the 1 to keep 2, 4, I guess. That can...
You're really kind of committing on this 2, 3, 4 Sanshoku.
No, this is just a mistake.
Cheat the 4-pin. Correct thinks you should cheat the 4-pin.
Yeah, I could have, but then then what am I doing? Am I doing 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku now that I have 1, 1, 2, 3, 4? I guess I'm doing Haku.
If you cheat the 4, 5, 6, you could have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's tough.
I could do 1, 2, 3s with the Hakus as a pair. I'm either calling the Haku or I'm doing 1, 2, 3 with Haku as a pair. I could have pushed it forward with that.
Yeah, Cork
I'm
thinks you should be focusing on
hesitant to push hands forward.
Do you know? I think that so you're chasing that final Haku, and it's quite late in the game. I don't know.
Well, the thing I like about the Haku is it's also very safe. I'm either going to get it or I'm going to have 2 safe tiles. And again, maybe that's a little bit cowardly. But you're right. Like there's not a realistic out in this hand if we don't push it forward somehow. And I feel like I'm sometimes too hesitant to do that. The end outcome ends up being, what's it called? A-san deals into D-san, which is actually great for me, although it's a 1,000 point hand. I'm not sure why D-san was pushing something so tiny. Maybe they didn't want C-san to hang out. But they win it. And that means A-san loses a bit of points and comes back closer to me. It's East 4 now.
And that's where the notes finish, I'm afraid.
There's no more notes?
There's no more notes after that. We're on our own.
All right, so let's see what happens.
I will translate these properly and send them over because there's a little bit more nuance than my
all right, so now I have 2
terrible translation.
I have 3 blocks, so I have 4 blocks. But I'm holding on to some stuff here.
You played perfectly.
Yeah, nothing I did was a problem. I cut the 1-2. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Okay, I have 3, 4.
Are
5,
you
5.
starting to feel a bit stressed that this game could end quickly and you're not in? Yeah.
I get my 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now I'm actually Ishan 10. But I need to get... Oh, and then D-san just sumos... Oh, that's what happens. Neat. D-san just sumos a dealer Hanemon out of nowhere. Yeah, D-san sumos a dealer Hanemon, rocketing them into first and bumping me down into 3rd place. Just because.
Oh, okay, that's where the notes end. Right?
Yeah, because there was no time for me to. I was Ishan 10 of this hand. I got somewhere.
You're playing the hand fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and then this happened, which happens, and yeah, so that happens, and that's end of game with me with a positive 0.4 3rd place, and poor C-san down in Garbageville. Yeah, Dave played perfectly well. It also bankrupts C-san. I think this was not an East only, but
this is the problem, right? You needed maybe to play one of the other hands better to not be dunked into 3rd.
Well, that's true. I mean, anything you do that gets you more points is good, and I agree. I think something I don't do often enough is get a little aggressive with calling in ways that actually advance my hand. I think I tend to just like either chill out or max speed rush, but there's a lot of middle ground. I think that where you can push forward via calling that I don't take, and I think that's like a gap in my game that I need to work on.
It's difficult though, finding the right speed on these things. You know, we talk about defending, we talk about attacking, but it's the trick is finding the right balance between the two within the context you're sitting in.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's like a midway. I think there's a midway that I don't take advantage of, where there are calls that can push my hand. Oh, it's so sunny. I'm sorry. There are calls that can push my hand forward effectively, and I don't take them because I either take them aggressively because I'm just going nuts, or I don't take them because I'm like, no, I want to close down. I want to play nice and closed and make a nice reach, et cetera, et cetera. And that's not a matter of being middle committed to a hand. It's a matter of a set of techniques for pushing a hand forward that you are committed to, which does not happen. Interesting.
It's always, I always find like it's the micro improvements that are the difficult things, but they're the things that really, I said it, they're the difficult things to identify, but they're the thing that pushes your average game into a good game.
Let me just move my face out of the sun. Yeah, because I agree. Like a lot of the micro improvements that we saw, the micro mistakes that I made in this game, didn't really bite me. But they could have.
I mean, you say don't. I think this outcome here of you being 3rd is the bite.
No, well, I mean, a lot of things like, throw East instead of Hots because you could get another Hots. Like I didn't get another Hot, is what I'm saying. Like some of the things that were like, cause maybe didn't happen. Although keeping that 7 for the 6/7 did happen. But even then, like the fact that those improve your chances of having small things happen, there's like a butterfly effect there, where it's like, if one of those tiny things did happen, then I would have won another hand. And if I did win another hand, then I could have won another hand. Maybe I would have. And if I did win another hand, then maybe I would have had an extra 2,000, 3,000 points here. And if I did, then I would have been in second instead of third. Like, those things do all stack up. Hmm.
What do you want to do now? I've gone over your mind notes. If you next time, send me a longer replay. We gotta have a full game.
I didn't realize. I thought it's been a while.
You just picked the
Um,
first one at the top, right?
well, I played one and then I gave it to you. I just sat
Oh,
down and like, oh, I'm going to play a game, and I played a game, and this was a game, and then I gave it to you. Um,
next time, full game, please.
I'm very curious. Hold on, I want to look at that last hand because here in this last hand, this one. I want to see what everyone was doing.
Yeah, Korak's got two things that he thinks yeah.
1, 2, 3, 6, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3. What an interesting. Yeah, and that's Tempai. That's where the dealer's Tempai on the 3-6, and then they immediately draw it. Jeez, they could have reached that and got an Ipatsumo. Oh, that's why they didn't want to tell it, because they were Tempai on the Dora. So they're like, if I reach, no one will ever throw it. But if I don't, then someone, possibly Sisan, to be honest, who's in a tough spot, might throw it because they have to. Or because they're ready to get rid of it. Sisan's in a really weird spot. Sisan is like a very callable hand, but the tiles they want are gone. The south is gone entirely.
You're not going to call the south. There's no Yako on the south.
Oh, you're right. It's east round. So there's no Yako on the south. It's north that they would care for, but north hasn't come out at all. Asan is Ishanten. Not a great Ishanten, but Ishanten.
Yeah, correct. That's a good point. And I think that's something, like, if these things happen early, it does kind of, define how the rest of the game gets played. And that's something that Aki really kind of elaborates on really well. The very first discard is where the game actually begins. And we can definitely be on autopilot, right? You draw your hands and then everyone's shuffling. You're like, okay, don't want to split it, and just throw something out, right? But actually that first discard then impacts all of the subsequent discards. And we can lose sight of that because we're so used to playing that part of the game, right?
And it's interesting because this is a lot of that is because of Footy
10. Exactly.
And that's a very interesting thing to think about when you're thinking about different types of mahjong and how different types of mahjong really work. Like the fact that Footy 10 basically says, really, you will never go back. You know, like you will never undo this mistake. You will never change it. This hand, like when you throw it, it's done, and everything around it is done.
Yeah, your decisions have more weight, more permanency.
Yeah, I think that's a subtle thing that people don't necessarily realize. Because most of the time it won't matter. Like, if most of the time what you throw is what you don't need, and it's fine. And
we don't tend to go back, right? We don't tend to go back to the very first discard and say, this is where the hand started going wrong.
Yeah.
We tend to focus on where the more obvious problems started to happen.
I agree with Korak strongly, especially about that Forso cut. I think that Forso cut is an interesting thing that I don't really think about. But if I have 3 pairs in the hand, I don't need this pair. And this is also a relic from the days when Toy Toy was a callable hand you could ever win.
That was a long time ago now.
Yeah, it was a long time ago when people would just really throw anything. And so keeping pairs was kind of good because you could always get to Toy Toy or call it that way. And it's like these days, and especially on Run, like, it's not happening. It's not happening. It's never happening. And even thinking that is just stupid. And I think
I haven't seen it called Toy Toy in a long time, I don't think.
Yeah, no, call Toy Toy. I could see a call Toy Toy happening if you have only one call to make.
There was a fashion, it was just like 6-7 years ago, for like a Toy Toy rush where you would aggressively call Toy Toy, and it got really popular like for a while in Japan. And I never really got it because I'm like, it just doesn't even feel fun to play that way.
No, it feels kind of dumb to play that way, but it has rules. Wait, what are the rules? Do you know the rules, Cora? I want to know.
Yeah, there's criteria, but I don't know. I never enjoyed criteria-based strategy.
Mahjong Guide is okay. Now I want to see. Can I find this?
Yeah, Zero does Toy Toy. Is it Dash or Rush? I thought it was Rush. Maybe I got it wrong. It's probably Dash, right?
The Toy Toy Dash. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
It's a hot new meta popularized by Zero in his new book, Zirobyo Shiko no Mahjong, and it's taking the Mahjong world by storm. This is from November 2017. Let me see if I can get this.
7 years ago. I said it right. Jeez. Well done, Gemma's memory.
Over here.
Well done, you.
Here we go. Toy Toy Dash. It should now be, yes, it's now being viewed. This is on mahjong.guide, which is a cool website. Given the following starting hand, what would you do? 8, 8, 9, 9, 2, 2, chin chin. If I have 5 pairs, what if I only have 4 pairs? Doing the Toy Toy Dash means discarding 5, 6, 0 and chasing Toy Toy from just 4 pairs. You pick it up along the way just like you would for Honitsu. Okay, so this is saying if all your pairs are easily callable edge tiles. So yeah, with 8 and 9, you might well get that. 2, you might get. Chun, you might well get. It's advantageous to have pairs next to each other because, yeah, if I call the 8, then the 9 is isolated. The 9 will likely come out. When? What do I do with this hand? At least 4 pairs in the early stages of the round. 5, 6, 2, west. If I call, it'll be 5,200 points. This will be. Of the 4 pairs, at least 3 are easy to call. This does not. But, interesting. The final trick is to bluff like you have Honitsu or Chanta. So if you discard middle tiles or tiles of only 2 suits right from the beginning, you can make it look that way. So, like, yeah.
The problem is, it got so fashionable that you can't bluff it anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what you're
I
doing.
I kind of get this idea. Because with this structure, with a Chun, I can grab my Yaku right now. If my first call is a Chun also, that's a little disguised. Who wouldn't call a Chun? How exciting. If I'm throwing suits and it looks like I'm going for a flush, you'll be encouraged to throw the other suits. So now the 8 and 9 man might come out. Like, I could see this working.
I think the problem is, it'll probably work less than you need it to.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't call this an ironclad rule. But I could see playing that way with a hand like this and not feeling dumb.
Again, I'm going to go. It's like a tool in your toolbox. And the problem is when people start doing criteria mahjong, where they're like, if I meet these things, then I'm going to do this, right? Then they don't really have agency over their game and their play anymore. Whereas if you read this and you're like, great, okay, I'm going to use this as another way to assess the direction my hand should take. Then you're using it as a tool and you're deciding whether this is a good application of this theory, this strategy, this tool, whatever you're going to, and you've still got agency in your game.
Yeah, like I think this is a good toolkit. It's actually a fairly reasonable guideline on when you might want to do Toy Toy. You might want to play called Toy Toy. So I don't think it's crazy or dumb, but I agree. Like you want to have it as a tool in your toolbox. And maybe sometimes you try it, maybe sometimes you don't. And
I think because people, especially like, and we've got quite a lot of advanced players. Thank you guys for watching our stream, and so many of you are already really very, very advanced anyway. So we're preaching to the converted. But when you're teaching intermediate players and or people emerging from beginnerdom, they're so anxious to grab onto hard rules that will mean they stop losing. And then things like this become not a guideline, and they just do it, and then they get more frustrated because it
doesn't just work.
Doesn't work consistently.
It works sometimes, but not always. And it's like, why? And I think the challenge is you get this feedback of like, okay, I need to know what to do to win, and it's like, do this. Okay, I'll do this, but it only works sometimes. So what am I doing wrong? And the answer is usually, nah, man. Like it only works sometimes.
Yeah, and Marshall's
really the
super
answer.
messy. It's super, super messy. It's like, it's not chess, it's not Go, it's not shogi, it's not all these games where things are just a little bit more straightforward. You got 3 other humans making their own choices and taking agency in their game that you have to react to or push back on, and it's just a messy, uglier game.
It's a messy game, and there's very little that's going to always work. Very little. There are very few things that are just hard and fast. Like yes, it does it. Know the rules to know when to break.
I think no, you got to know the rules to break them. I think that's a pretty standard phrase. I don't think that's from a particular movie.
Well, a lot of that concept comes from improv acting training, and it's.
Wait, have you ever done improv?
I've been adjacent to a lot of people who've done improv. I've been around a lot of that stuff. I've never taken any classes or done anything like that myself, but I read Del Close's book about it, and I think a lot of times what they do is they say okay, well we're gonna do a game. It's like a warm up game. The game has rules. We do the game, But like once you've done the games, you can incorporate them into your work and oftentimes break the rules for better comedic effect. Um,
And the
because
problem.
a lot of comedy is setting expectations and then breaking them or something like that.
Yeah,
But you have
okay.
to know the rules and know the games so that you can then do them
Hmm.
to begin with, and then also get the positive effect from breaking them or stepping outside of them. Um, because yeah, comedy is often doing what's expected and doing what's not expected. So like,
I mean, I think the problem with even saying their rules is that these rules change. This is the kind of game where the rules change every six
well,
months
the
because
meta
people
changes
start
constantly.
doing
Yeah.
different things. Because the rules themselves have an impact. The existence of someone writing that article impacted the Western community.
Yeah.
Just like Ricci Book One, Dinah Chiba's book, which is great. If you haven't read it, definitely read it.
It's had a huge impact though. It's had a
Had
huge
a huge
impact.
impact. And I kid you not, and this is really cruel, but for a good while, everyone had read that book and they were playing to that book beautifully. I was like, oh, great. And now I know what everyone's going to do. So I'll just win. It's a bit of a dick, arrogant thing to say.
Well, it's true though. If
But
every player is playing in a very predictable way, and you can look at every discard and be like, well, they're using these rules, so I
mm,
know that this discard happened because of like this reason.
mm,
Um, yeah, that's why a lot of things I do when I'm, especially when I'm not playing particularly seriously, it's dumb, but
mm.
I'll do things just meant to look erratic,
Yeah, and I rarely
just to
meet.
be.
Yeah, I rarely now go to tournaments where I don't think I've been to a tournament for a long time where everyone is playing by Dinah Chiba's book anymore.
No,
It's
no,
just
it's not gonna
people,
be
people,
that hard and
people
fast.
have built on it now. People have,
Yeah,
enhanced and modified and created their own strategies. And other articles have come up, obviously, and as it should be. So it's, but someday someone's going to write another
yeah.
book, and everyone's going to start.
You're
Gemma's
gonna
going to
flip
write
it
his
into play
Sanshoku
mode. Yeah,
book, and you'll all be
exactly.
playing Sanshoku Dash or something. And yeah.
But I think maybe maybe that's a better way to say something that I was trying to say about mahjong yesterday, which is I think mahjong is one of the few games where cultivating a personal style is like actually good
Mm.
and not just like hubris or stupid.
Hmm.
Like, if I was a pole vaulter, I mean, I guess I could try inventing a new way to pole vault, but probably there's the way you pole vault.
Mm.
There's the right way. There's the best way. And it's true that there have been times when that best way has changed, but overall, I would be best served by pole vaulting the best way everybody knows how and just doing it and getting very good at it
Mm.
and just doing it. I cannot pole vault, by the way. I cannot vault to begin with, and I don't know what I would do with a giant. I don't know. I can't do that shit. Um, but like, yeah, in mahjong, the personal style is all there is.
But then
There
doesn't
is
that
no
come
hard and
back
fast
to
rule.
our original conversation about commentating and giving feedback on people's game? In that
It's
you
gonna pole
do
vault the way
have
your
to have
body
a little bit
lets
of
you.
caution because people are cultivating their own style.
I think the only way my body lets me is just falling over. I think that's. I think my pole vaulting career is gonna start when I'm so old that I need a cane. That's gonna be the way my body lets me pole vault.
I never did athletics. I was piss poor
I
athletics.
mean, huge props to people who can do that. It's insane using this stick to like launch yourself. Oh, it's a true feat. I'm not trying to belittle it. I can't do it. Cane vault. Yeah, exactly. You go like waddling, put the cane in, you just go and you like get up a step. Yeah, I know. There was the flop. What was it? The someone flop.
Yeah, you flop over, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and that one guy did manage to change the meta of pole vaulting, which was really cool. But like, it's not like every pole vaulter is told straight up like you need to do this the way you feel best doing it. It's like no, there's a technique, and you learn the technique, and that's what you do. And once in a generation does someone come up with a change to the technique, and then everyone does a new technique because it's the best technique. And I feel like mahjong is not like that at all.
Hmm.
In mahjong, you build your personal style, and that's what you do. And hopefully, you build it out of well tested pieces of technique that you incorporate.
Yeah.
But there's there's more than one way to do it.
There's
Like
yeah, there's no golden rule, and the game will keep modifying and changing, and
there
it's
is one golden rule, and that is like
draw the
just
right
discard
tiles.
something. Yeah, draw the right tiles, and then just discard something. Can you just discard something? I can't tell you what to discard, but you for sure need to discard something. I think I agree with you, Korak, that if I had to put together like a mahjong curriculum, like learn your tile efficiency, learn the stats and numbers would be one of the base foundation layers.
I don't think efficiency is strategy. I think that's a basic understanding of the game mechanics. No?
Don't take too long on the parlays. Definitely don't take too long on the parlays. Don't take too,
I don't know. Like efficiency is just that's just if you don't understand how tiles interact with each other, then you can't play Mahjong, and that's what efficiency is telling you, really, isn't it?
I had. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you earlier.
So I'm not. That's why I say it's not strategy. It's just basic. It's just basic.
A game the other night at Sparrow's Nest, which was kind of almost the inverse of this game, where kind of like D-Son, I spent the whole game just doing nothing. Like I think like I not no offense to D-Son in this game, but like just not getting anything done. I wasn't winning. I wasn't losing. I think the biggest exchange I had was like I lost 3,900 to someone, and then I won 3,900 back from them next hand to stay at exactly dead even, and I just sat around, and like the very last hand, I finally get my good dealer hand, and I reach it, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, there are reds on this table, and 5 pins the Dora, and I'm ready on a 2 5-pin wait, and I for sure haven't seen any 5 pins come out, so maybe it's in the wall waiting for me. And it for sure was, and so I ended up sumoing,
No one likes
sumo, pin fu Tanyao, Dora, and getting that dealer Hanemon that just like launches me over everyone. It's like the last hand is like dealer Hanemon sumo.
They
like,
just made a Mahjong dojo to make everyone else feel bad about themselves.
No, everyone else feels bad about themselves on their own. I just gave them a place to commiserate.
Okay, Quark says, you need to know the rules and guidelines. We need to figure out your own decisions to where you want to ignore them and what. Yeah. You have to have the reasoning, right? It's like it's like maths, right? Or math if you're American. Like you need to be able to show you're working. Sure, anyone can put the numbers in the calculator. That doesn't mean you understand the formula.
Yes.
So you have to be able to show your workings. Sakigiri versus Rafa. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, I agree really strongly about that. Like you should, it's not that you always have to play to efficiency, but you should be able to tell someone if you were describing, you should be able to speak up and say, I didn't do the efficient thing here because the core efficiency thing here was this, but I did that because of reason. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to play the player, and that's another thing that I think is really important with 3 other players at the table. It's not just like chess.
No.
Or Go, where it's
not binary.
It's very binary. With 3 other players at the table, all tug of warring, all involved, all engaged, and all locked in the cage. Because again, unlike poker, you can't just fold and be like, "I'm leaving." Even in folding, you're still participating.
I like this. I like this cage fight analogy. That's what it feels like sometimes.
You don't get to walk away. When I fold, I can think in my head, well, I should fold here all I want. If all my tiles are dangerous, I'm still in this fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I have to push per se, but what I throw is dangerous. I need to be thinking.
That's what it feels like. When you play poker and you fold and then you're just like, where's my drink? Get me more drink.
Yeah, you're just like,
Mahjong, you're like, oh Jesus, I'm folding.
No,
this
escape.
Is worse.
You're not. I mean, there is an escape, but the feeling of escape is when there's like 2 draws left and you have 2 hard safes. Yeah. Then you're like, oh my god, I escaped.
I mean, it's always like driving towards a winning, towards a tempo hand is. It's easier. It's less stressful.
It is less stressful
than folding because the direction is clear. If you're going towards tempo, you know what the outcome will be, but you don't know what the outcome will be of folding.
3 players, you're not engaging, and this is why it's easy, but it's also hard. And this is part of my learning process of the game. Actually, the first time, and it's funny because what an interesting thing looking back historically, at least for me, thinking of my personal life. The first time I went to Japan. In 2007, before I was involved in any of the Mahjong stuff, but I knew how to play Mahjong. Wow, I was hyped for Mahjong. Yeah, I went to visit a friend of mine who was studying at Tokyo University. A bunch of us did because it was a great opportunity. We thought to visit Japan. We'd never been there. We're like, holy crap, we can take a great trip. We got a friend who speaks English who lives there. They can help us get around and help us with some of the on-the-ground stuff, and it would be wonderful. And we did it. It was a wonderful trip, et cetera, et cetera. But the interesting thing there is like, I just learned to play Mahjong the previous year, 2006. I'd only played it in person with my friends at that point, but I'd gotten a PSP. And I got Mahjong Fight Club for my PSP. And so all I did for like a long time when I wasn't playing with actual people was sit there playing Mahjong Fight Club. And I brought it with me. I sat in Japan playing Mahjong Fight Club on my PSP just because it was what I would do during my idle moments or when we were, waiting around for something. And really in my mind what that was build a hand trainer. Because at that point in my Mahjong knowledge, my Mahjong journey, I want to be very lyrical, my journey, I wasn't really able to understand a lot about reading people's discards short of what was hard safe. I was fairly new. And the great thing about playing as AI in Mahjong Fight Club was it went as fast as you wanted. So really what I was playing was build a hand simulator. What am I doing with my hand? How am I going to build my hand? How am I going to get this hand to ready? What am I going to do here? And learning some efficiency by kind of brute force. And like, and just experimenting with it. You're right. It is the easier part and the less stressful part. When in my mind, the AI running off of me is just a thing that happens sometimes. And I'm not stressing out about trying to intuit what everyone else is waiting on really so much. I'm playing a less stressful game where I'm just looking at my own tiles and seeing what I get and trying to put them together in the best way. And this is an important thing to learn. Like I'm not saying this is dumb. This is an important thing to learn, and it is actually the easier part. The harder part is getting a feel for what everyone else is doing, engaging with everyone else, looking at their tiles, looking at their discards, trying to be like, where is this going and what's happening here?
Hmm. And that's why you're all here, kids, because we love that. We love hurting ourselves. There are much easier games to play out there, and here we are, locked in a cage match with Mahjong itself.
They're easier games to play, but there are harder games to play. Because you can play Mahjong if you just don't care. Like, yeah, and when I say don't care, I don't mean in a bad way. If you just don't stress out too much about winning or losing, it's fine. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Like, it's cool. But I think that is actually maybe this is a weird take. But I almost feel like this is a very Japanese game.
You can't say that. It's definitely a Chinese game. I can tell that.
Well, no. I mean Reach Mahjong. The way Reach Mahjong works, I should say, is a very Japanese game, because I feel like the structure of Reach Mahjong establishes this kind of pressure cooker. This kind of like stressful pressure cooker. This because pretty time like the fact that defense is even possible. If I'm playing Hong Kong Mahjong, okay, yeah, I can try to track or I can not try to track. In traditional scoring, if someone wins, they get points from everyone anyway. So winning off of me versus not winning off of me is like not that big of a deal. So there's less stress from that side. It's faster. It's a little lighter. I'm just making a hand. We're all having a good time and somebody wins. Cool. Hooray. Like, whatever. But I feel like here, there's so much more emotional pressure. And I feel like packing that emotional pressure within a game where there are rules.
Being able to control the emotional pressure is a very Japanese skill.
Yeah. And it also makes it kind of oblique because all that pressure is directed at the game. Like, if I deal into you, it's not a personal thing, you know? Like, the game says this is what happens. It's not that you are now, venting at me or causing me distress. But I now do have this big emotion. You have the big emotion of I won, and I have the big emotion of, oh my God, I lost, and I pay all these points. But it's within this very controlled environment that is the game, the structure of the game. And our interaction is structured around the game. So we're not having these big emotions in the wild at each other. I don't know. I think it's a very interesting emotional structure that Mahjong is. And it's funny because we all joke about Mahjong as suffering. And I think, like, I don't know, this is more of a societal hot take. I think that we are surrounded by entertainments that are very much like candy.
Oh, yeah.
They're meant to be easy, pleasant, and enjoyable all the way through. And there's nothing wrong with candy. I love candy. This isn't me saying everything's garbage, but a lot of the things that we do for entertainment are tailored and refined to be easy, pleasant, and enjoyable all the way through.
Yeah, they're not challenging. They're there to make you keep clicking or keep your eyeballs on that YouTube screen.
They're not designed to make you feel challenged. Social media is sometimes pivoted to make you feel angry, because angry makes you engage. That's
engagement,
Yeah, angry makes you engage. But overall, it's not meant to be challenging. And again, I'm not saying everything in your life needs to be climbing Mount Everest, or that there's not space in the world for things that are simple, for popcorn movies, for summer blockbusters, for things that are just plain fun.
I mean, so like I've got a kid and we've started introducing some screen time, and
here.
He started liking these YouTube videos of like, I can't even tell you what they are. Like they're like people unboxing toy cars.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they do. But he'd just stare at them. He'd just like zone out and he'd just stare. And he'd just want more and more. And he could, if I let him, he'd have watched for hours. And I compare that to, you know, properly designed kids' TV that the BBC produces. And it didn't engage him in that way. He didn't zone out. Like the TV, you know, the show was asking him to think or do things, and then he'd have to turn to me and say, "Well, what's this, Mama? Like, what's going on here?" And I was like, "Wow, this, you know." The problem is everything's pivoting towards that YouTube model, right?
Well, it's because it's quantifiable. The metric that it uses is, do you keep watching?
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. And so the
Um,
BBC are making kids stuff which they're like, you know, I mean, I don't think you can teach kids anything from a TV show.
Which you
But I do think it's interesting sometimes when, you know, it's a way to sort of have a bit of engagement with a kid about a topic. I don't know. Yeah, it's
I mean,
difficult.
again, and I don't want to be too old about this. Like, I feel like there's a place for this sometimes. You know, there's a time where you just, even when I was a kid, you turn your TV on to MTV and you just leave it on. Music videos kind of go in the background. It's there. You can kind of zone out to it. You can not pay attention. Like, there's a place in life for candy entertainment, for things that's simple. You can just kind of chew on it, you know, munch it when you're bored. You take it in, you watch, you zone out, etc., etc. But to keep on the mahjong topic, I think that what's interesting about mahjong, what is to me at least appealing about it, is that if you are in the mood to climb that mountain, if you're sitting there being like, I want to engage with this, I want to really devote myself to this, I want to focus, I want to play as hard as I can, I want to try to get better. There is a lot there. There's something demanded of you. And there is something that you can improve at. You can get something out of it too. Like it's not just total randomness. Like there's a skill you can build there that is challenging, that is demanding, that is engaging, and you can really bring your whole self to play the game if that's what you want to do today.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of value in that.
You can take your full concentration, and that's something that we rarely have an opportunity to do nowadays. Like even if you're at work, right? There's always the bloody Teams messenger pinging away. Like the ability to just sit there for like a couple of hours and just concentrate on one document is tough because you're expected to be constantly multitasking.
Be in one place at a time. Like it's super good. Imagine popping up all these. The other interesting thing that I wanted to wonder, the thing I found a little interesting. I don't know. This is we're getting close to our time, so this is gonna
we've only, because
old man has hot takes about the youth.
A super
what
short
is wrong?
review.
I'm gonna ask my question of the day. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I have something hype to say. I'm gonna say something hype first, and then I'm gonna devolve into old man shouts at cloud. So I am hype because yesterday. Hot take from Hot Room. I'm sorry. As Mahjong becomes mainstream, live spectating high stakes games like tournament files will become uncommon. I don't think that's that hot a take. I think that's.
I know. Do you know what? But the problem is, we are seeing the opposite trend in Japan. So Mahjong
no. I think.
Less
let me
popular.
make sure I'm stating this properly.
Okay, you say it first, and I'll correct you.
By live spectating, I'm assuming you mean actual physical people standing in the same room.
Oh, really?
As opposed to real-time broadcast of the game. Let's make sure we're.
I presume they're talking about live broadcast of the game.
No, we're talking about people standing there. See,
I
would agree.
Who stands there and watches games?
Well, we did it in 2014 at WRC.
Yeah, because I wanted people. I wanted shills for my video feed.
Don't call them shills.
Sorry, am I telling them?
They're still around.
Look, I needed a buzz of people around the table, so it looked impressive because we were streaming that back out to Japan.
Yeah, Emily put the spectators in the living room. I would think that as the matches get more and more high stakes, just because the integrity of the match is important, you're just not even going to allow people to be in the same room and probably real time. I mean, again, in 2017, we real time streamed the game to another room that was like, I think 30 floors up. It was very removed. There was no way crowd action in that room could in any way be impacting the game as played. I think we did. We also did allow in-person spectators, though, didn't we? In 2017. We just had them behind a barrier, and they all
in 2017 again. But we did that for the camera. I mean, if I had my choice, then of course I don't want people standing around the final table. But when we have a battle with the fact we have an audience that wanted
that
to
wants to
see an
be there.
international
Yeah.
flavor. If they were just watching a game of 4 Japanese people pushing tiles around a table, it could have been anywhere. But I needed a bunch of international looking faces, a Benetton advert behind the table, so I had a good image. And yeah, sorry, this is the hard part of my
Well, it's the
mahjong
publicity
role
part. It's the
now.
publicity
Yeah,
part. It's what you
I
wanted
have to
were
think about the
publicity
image.
images, which is not the same thing as,
It's not the same thing as good tournament
gameplay.
organization,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a different stakeholder.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Oh, so I'm sorry. My cool thing that happened is after a grueling waiting period and line, I got Distant Worlds tickets for the New York Distant Worlds concert, which is going to
Oh,
be FF14 and FF16 focused.
so the
And
music was
Soken's going
really
to be
good in
there.
16.
The music was pretty good in 16.
It's
Uh,
unfortunate the story was a punch of cack.
you always say that about everything, though.
No, no, no. I wanted to hate Final Fantasy VII Reboot. I wanted to hate it. I went in ready to hate. And they did everything perfect. I changed nothing. I was so
That was
happy. I cannot
your
wait until the
notes.
29th of February and I can play
Oh
the
my
next
Jesus.
part. You won't see me. I won't exist after the 29th of February. I'll be so happy.
I don't know, Curly. I think there's more options. I don't think a Netflix. I think you should. We think with the opposite direction is a Netflix series will pop off if Mahjong gets more mainstream.
Yeah, you see, I don't think that any of this anime stuff will get us mainstream.
No,
I think it will increase the interest within an already established anime community. And I think,
it
unfortunately,
needs to be
so
a real show
Ponnomichi's not
about real
so bad
people.
because it's obviously not, it's
Yeah.
not
Okay.
entirely aimed at the male gaze. But things like Saki, with its overt child sexualization, is
Look,
going to limit Mahjong's reach. It
how
does need
can
to be real people, Curly. Yeah.
how can Saki limit Mahjong's reach when there's no limit to the bust sizes of the characters?
I think it's
Think
worse and
about
worse,
that.
doesn't it?
Think about that.
Every time I see that character, I'm just like, God, the back hurts. It's like, yeah, I think I sent you a tweet. Like there was this terrible one where like the girls just couldn't even move, and like it looks like the products of some
Yes. Yeah.
bizarre
Look,
anime waifu like
at
breeding
some
project.
point it's going to be just easier to draw them because it'll just extend entirely out of panel and you just can just it's just a box.
So one
um
thing that's interesting is Japanese mahjong in Japan got very popular because of a media item, and that was a book that was written by a gentleman who had been in China, and you know he travels with mahjong. Mahjong's part of his story of travel, right? He meets these
mm,
people. He meets some Americans. He plays mahjong. He meets some Chinese people, and it's kind of half based on real life, half elaborated on, as you can imagine. But that's really kind of what propelled mahjong into the public consciousness there. And then of course you just have, I have respect for just the plain pornography mahjong games. Like if you're just gonna do porn, just do porn. That's fine.
I mean, yeah, like if it's not like those things can't exist and it's not like those things won't exist, so okay, there it is.
But I think the mahjong community sometimes puts too much stock on an anime propelling our game mainstream
Mm,
without considering that like a lot of people, I've been an anime nerd. I've gone to anime conventions. I've
what?
been an anime translator. I know
No.
I was a real little weeb. We didn't have
Can't
weebs
believe
back
it.
then. We didn't
I
call
can't
ourselves
believe
weebs.
it.
Anyway, I went to an anime convention in Los Angeles a long time ago. Anyway, so that's when we didn't have anime conventions in the UK. Anyway, so I'm not saying this to like
Agreed,
sort of
Liz.
denigrate the anime community, but what I'm trying to say is there's lots of people who look at that kind of content and just think, nope.
I mean, yeah, it's very interesting because I was talking about this with a friend a few days ago. Is like just like what is this media? How have we engaged with it? What is it like? Because I was talking about how like yeah, I used to way long ago. Like I was an anime fan way long ago,
Hmm.
and I felt like I was really pushed out during like the giant moe explosion,
Hmm.
that era during which everything. I mean, first of all, I never really did conventions or anything like that, but I watched a lot of stuff. How I watched Takagi, how I even learned about this game. But during that era, the Great Moe explosion, and watching everyone just kind of like shrug and be
Yeah.
like, yeah, I guess it's all sexualized 13-year-olds forever. Okay, sure, I guess
I
that's what it
I
is. You just gotta
remember
look
when
past it. And I was just like,
I remember when anime
hmm,
was, an anime series would have a fan service episode. Now
yeah,
It's just all fan service with maybe a plot episode somewhere.
And I mean, let's not kid ourselves. There's always some level of looking past it. You like Marvel comics? Well, guess what? A lot of the Marvel ladies are drawn sexy because it's fun to draw sexy ladies and people like looking at them. And at the end of the day, you kind of are just like, okay, and you hope the content's good and
They
interesting.
do draw a lot of sexy men in Marvel as well.
They do draw sexy men too. Let's be fair too.
Let's
and
be
it's
fair
not,
to
and again, that's
sexy
not
men.
necessarily the worst thing at all. Like I'm not saying that's evil or that no one should do it, et cetera, et cetera. It's there, and we all have some degree of something in media that we just kind of like, let's look past it, whatever. And we're like, this is fine. But like. Yeah, it got it. But what pushed me?
I think no
fever
problem.
pitch.
Chess is just. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
from my
everyone knows
parents'
chess.
well, yeah.
Everyone knows chess. So you already have a hook.
Yeah.
People don't have a hook for mahjong.
No, I think, but
necessarily.
I think Curly's not wrong, because I do think that there's a lot of immigrants from Asia do have this as a family. I meet a lot of people. Like, yeah, my family does. I've met people who's like, well, my parents won't teach me. Like, I want to learn and they won't teach me because they say it's bad.
It's bad,
I know a lot
yeah.
of people who
It's
say
got a
that.
bad rep. Yeah.
But there definitely is a lot of family connection. I mean, there's a lot of social connection being made because people consider this part of their, it is part of their culture. Not consider, it is part of their cultural heritage and something they can do together. Like, I think all that's real. But I think like, to get kind of to the point of it, I do think, I mean, first of all, I'm glad the anime scene now has moved past just the ultra moe forever era because that was kind of gross, and it's gotten back into a bit more diversity. That's super great. But I do think like a cool popular anime about mahjong, neat. That's good. There's nothing bad about that, but that's not going to be the real mainstream break. It's really going to have to be some. I mean, frankly, one of the most mainstream breaks of mahjong in the past 10 years is the one mahjong scene at the end of Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah. Well, don't forget the Joy Luck Club.
Joy Luck Club's much older, but Joy Luck Club is there. But that one scene at the end of Crazy Rich Asians is
that's the most
last
modern one.
touch,
Yeah.
the most recent touch of mahjong on the general popular consciousness.
Yeah. I mean, but if I was to say I would play mahjong, people would be like, and I'm like, it's like the game for the Joy Luck Club, and then they understand. That's another character-driven thing.
Yeah.
And Crazy Rich Asians are good. I think the problem with getting this kind of popular media out is you have to spend so much time explaining the game of mahjong to have it included, and mahjong is a complicated game. It's not. Again, you've got four people. It's not binary like chess, right? In chess, you're battling one person, and it's easier to show that on screen in a narrative.
Well, we can
even Crazy Rich Asians, but Crazy Rich Asians, they took it down to two people.
Yeah.
There are four people on the table,
but really we only care about two of them.
Exactly.
And the other thing about that scene is that scene has additional depth if you understand the mahjong. But that scene is still a dialogue. And the dialogue is meaningful in the context of the movie. So even if you don't know or care at all about the game, the dialogue in that scene is still important.
Well, it does. Yeah, you can have that. It explains it sufficiently, and I think that's always going to be a challenge for mahjong. And I'm not sure how we overcome that. And yeah, do you know what? So when I was working at Nintendo, I said to one of my superiors, I was like, oh yeah, he's Japanese. I was like, oh yeah, I play mahjong, and he just looked at me and he was like, I thought you were a nice girl. And I was like, yeah, so there you go. Be careful sometimes. Don't go gung ho sometimes if you're in a Japanese environment. Like, I play mahjong, they might just think that you are some awful gangster.
I agree with that, Pez. I think that if you had this media and it was really structured around the characters, structured around the high level structure, that this is how the game works, and someone wins and someone loses and someone takes and someone deals in, like you have to be really careful with the conceptual vocabulary you're going to try to communicate to the viewer over the course of the game. And like, I think if you did something like Rounders, if you were able to do something like Rounders, but
no, you want you want like Memoirs of a Geisha style, right? You want to make people feel like they're having like an exciting look into a different world, and then you can give them lots of information.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you end up. There's a few ways to do it. I think that's one way to do it. Yeah, you can teach them as if they're entering. You can teach them as if they're learning. But I think a lot of the challenges, you're dealing with something. Again, it's thinking from a American perspective, Western perspective. Like you're dealing with something that is not a common activity. Like, oh, I'm just gonna go down to the local mahjong parlor and play some mahjong. Like, I'm gonna go down to the local chess club and play some chess is not something people don't do. It's uncommon, but it's not something where I'm like, what? Like, is that who?
But
You know, I'm not going to be
I
confused
think
by it.
this is a wider interesting problem for Japan as well, because I think I've said this before, but the latest stats show that less people are
Chester.
playing mahjong and more of them are watching it. So even if
Crazy.
they don't play the game, they are spectators of it. More like football, right? Like lots of people watch English football. Only about 5 people watch American football because it sucks. Anyway, lots of people watch football. Not so many play it, right?
Hmm.
And that's the direction that mahjong in Japan is heading now. It's a spectator event and less a game. And I wonder as well how that will impact the media coming out and how we grow the game. Do we want to just create spectators? I sure hell don't. I want people to play the game.
I think Japan could origami that back around, actually.
I
Um,
I I don't think they want to, because do you know what makes money?
what?
Broadcasting it and all the sponsorship and all of the selling of the stuff. Running jansos and parlors and dojos and whatever, that costs a lot of money. People don't make much money, and then you've always got the risk, of course. There's always the legal risk in that mahjong sits in this grey
Mm,
area.
mm.
But M League, there's no grey area. It's just a spectator.
Well,
And
it must be because of how the gambling laws are written, frankly.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But so in that environment, I don't think there's much motivation to drive that back towards increasing players, because why would you do that when you're increasing your customers? And mahjong has suffered from not having enough money slushing around it for a long time, and now they're getting their money back. And why change what's working?
it makes sense. I think there's a lot of opportunity when you have something that's a very popular spectator sport.
Mm,
There's a lot of opportunity to like to monetize and to make it. You want to build like a structure
yeah,
in which new players are generated
yeah.
and stuff like that.
No.
Yeah,
So
we're
no,
gonna
no, no,
unicorn.
no,
We're
no, no.
unicorning it. We're gonna become billion dollar
I believe.
valuation. I just need
So
someone who's dumb to evaluate
I
me.
will tell you my big plot. I think Sparrow's Nest can become a unicorn. I think the key
Mm-hmm.
here is that we need to get
Emily
Westerns
playing it in
playing
North
it,
Asia.
non-Japanese folk playing it in the West, and then we re-import it back into Japan.
That's always been the plan.
That's the way. That's the way to
That's how you
support
get the interest
Japanese
level
player
you need.
growth, because unfortunately, mahjong has had such a bad reputation. It's attached to gambling. It's attached to you know the gangsters. It's attached to drinking and smoking and all of the stuff that you really shouldn't be involved in. We all know we shouldn't be doing those things. And people grow out of them a lot of the time. Even if you're doing it as a student, you grow out of it because, you get kids and families and all of
Well,
that
it's
jazz.
really interesting to hear that like even the pros have kind of grown out of it.
Yeah.
Like all these dudes who spent their youth drinking and gambling and partying, and they're now kind of like, well, I really don't, I still love
Yeah.
mahjong. I really just
Yeah.
don't want to drink and
But that's
party
what I'm saying.
anymore. But I like playing it.
I think mahjong as a game has a lot to offer. And so what we do is we need to play it here in the healthiest way possible. And then we're like,
Hmm.
look, do this, and then they can re-import it back as a and mahjong's always been doing it. It's always been passed back between. But even,
Yeah.
and I've said before, the whole Ricci rule, there's a I don't want to say strong likelihood. There's a 50-50 likelihood it comes from the Americans anyway. And that's what mahjong is. It's constantly been battered around all of our cultures. And I don't. We're in such we're such a start of the game still. It's only been around for like what 170 years.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
young
it's
game.
still a fairly young game. But
We
yeah,
we
I
can
think
mold
like
it.
I would love to do mahjong media. I'd love to do more media that's representative of that. But I think the challenges of that become, yeah, who's gonna make it? Like I'd love to, and this is something again we were talking about this like who's gonna make the Netflix series? Not right now at least. Money's not so easy. But like I don't know who's gonna want to
I
spend
don't,
it.
I don't
I
think
think there's
Netflix has got the money right now.
Netflix has the money. They just don't want to spend it. But I think
No.
I think there's like you need to find what is a compelling story that involves mahjong. What is that? Who's gonna make the mahjong the Western mahjong graphic novel? Because I
Don't know.
think there's a lot that could be done with that with like a good graphic novel.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, how do you do that? What do you do with that? What is the story that gets told? How do you make a compelling story that is around mahjong? Because you're not gonna be able to tell like a direct mahjong story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's what it's about. It's about a story around mahjong, a story with people in it for whom mahjong is a part of their life, for whom mahjong is important. Um, and yeah, these are
Do it.
these are some of the ideas. I don't know. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot of stuff to think about what makes that compelling. And the other thing we were looking at was what's it called? A Hikaru no Go.
Mm-hmm.
Hikaru no Go, which is one of the most wildly successful attempts to popularize like a classic game. Like instead of something like Pokemon, that is, also wildly popular, but like it's selling itself, right? Pokemon sells Pokemon. You watch Pokemon, you want the Pokemon, you buy the Pokemon, you do the Pokemon, hooray, Pokemon. But like Hikaru no Go was pushing this intangible just go, which is a very, it's like Mahjong. It's just a board game. It's a classic style board game where you just buy a set and then play it, and there's no product being pushed by this anime per se, other than like maybe Go is cool, and that's it.
Well, they've got a lot of manga like that. Like Hikaru no Go is a great example of one that became popular, but they have that
It really broke
they have
out,
that for tennis and baseball and basketball. All of these games, they have that kind of. I mean, and that's the thing. People pick up Hikaru no Go, I think, partly because that's what you see in the West. That's what gets, imported into our countries. But, my husband, the manga he reads, it'd never
outing him.
No, it would never be. It would never be published here because it's just not what anime fans and manga fans think the genre is. He loves that Oishimbo, which is just about people eating. It's like about food, and it's just an informative manga about food. There's one. God, I can't remember what all these names are. Like this,
like it's full of food facts and other things.
Yeah, it was just like so. A guy goes around eating food, and he meets people, and he talks about the food, and it's really obsessively detailed.
That sounds so cool.
It is cool, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and I think the problem is like, the way the manga fans have it, they have an image of what manga looks like, right? And there's a few threads in there. There's your Berserk threads, there's your Evangelion threads, your Gundams, your Macrosses,
read that.
and
that
then you have your Moe.
Awesome. How can I get that?
Yeah, but it's, I mean, it would be a bitch to translate if nothing else.
Well, and I'm supposed to learn Japanese.
Yeah, and it's just maybe as translation can become cheaper and the the delivery of these things become cheaper, these things will get translated. But I just the tennis ones and all of these things, these things that are just oishimbo.
What makes me happy about this is like I don't want to have a bad vibe about any type of media. And it's true. Like I feel like, especially with imported media brought in from any other culture or translated in from any other culture to mine, you're going to get the things people think will sell the most. Because
they usually buy into the stereotypes of that culture that were already established in the country.
It's going to be the popular tropes, right?
Yeah.
If people like giant robots, we're going to bring giant robot stuff because people buy giant robot stuff. And for the record, giant robots are pretty cool, and I approve of them. But obviously, you're going to get all that stuff, and you're not going to get little things like this. So it makes me feel good to hear, whether or not I can ever read it, because I would be curious to read it. It's great to hear it gets made.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
great to hear that the media is full of that diversity of ideas and concepts and authors doing different and exciting things, and that just makes me happy.
But I mean, if you were to say what are representative mangas in Japan, Oishimbo would definitely be on that list. You're looking at things like Naruto, huge, and then you've got your Crayon Shin-chan. And then your Doraemons and your Anpanmans and stuff that, I mean, they're never going to bring Anpanman here. For one, it's really creepy. I don't know.
Kids are like surreally attracted to Anpanman.
Oh,
I feel like if you put Anpanman in the US, some percentage of children would just do it. You know what? I should go and dress up.
Because it's religious, don't you?
Wait, it is?
Yeah. So Anpanman offers his head to people in trouble for them to eat a bit. And then his head gets baked again afresh the next morning. It's all about Jesus. The man did it because he loves Jesus.
If anyone knows anyone at Studio Ghibli, please. They just did 2001 in their last film.
Make a Mahjong movie, please. Studio Ghibli would make a great Mahjong movie. They would do it.
They would. I mean, if they did it, what they did would be well. What they do is generally pretty awesome, to be fair. But yeah, their last movie was basically 2001. It was a good movie. It was basically 2001.
I've not seen it yet. I should see it, but I haven't seen it yet.
There's a lot more Dave hot takes we can get, but we're a little over time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to let you go for now because I watched a bunch of movies on my way back and forth to Japan, so I can talk about those. Here, Dave hot takes on films.
Thank you for listening to us, Ran.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening to us. We're gonna get going so we can open up Sparrow's Nest in a few hours. If you're in New York, hope to see you there. If you're not, hope to see you there one day. Come join us.
Thanks, Isake.
And we'll be back next week with another cool stream and some cool, exciting news. Our newsletter. Oh, wait, let me say one quick thing. If you are in the New York area and you're not yet subscribed to our newsletter, I highly suggest you do, because we are going to be putting up the not just information about signing up for our leagues for this year. Will be in the newsletter, this upcoming issue that has not gone out yet and should go out in a day or two. There's also going to be information about Karen Aruba's Mahjong Tile painting and crafting class, which is really, just to be super clear,
I-
primarily what's going to be done is painting, because we don't, the crafting tools and
Dave's going
Farah,
to
who's the
save
craft
me a
master, is
seat.
not going to be here.
Dave's going to save me a seat.
But the information and signups are going to come out real soon. You, of course, yeah, absolutely. You can go to uspml.com. You can go to Sparrow's Nest Studios website. And I think uspml.com has the best sign-up page for the newsletter. So if you do that, you'll be in the newsletter. You'll get the newsletter. And so, yeah, that class is going to be on March 30th. The details will be in this month's newsletter coming out. So if you get the newsletter, you'll have the best chance at the seats, because seats are very limited. There are only going to be 36 spots available.
35 once you've given me mine.
Yes, I'm sorry, 35 once Gemma gets her special spot. But there's very limited availability. It's going to be really cool. Again, it's going to be on March 30th. And you're going to get a whole pile of you're going to get a set of 5 tiles to take home. Or is it 6 tiles? I think it's 6 tiles to take home. You get a gift box, you get a card. It's really cool. So I want to make sure that our Sparrow's Nest members, Sparrow's Nest members are going to have a little ticket bracket reserved just for them. And our stream visitors also get priority in knowing about this if it's something you think is cool. So sign up for the newsletter, get the details hot off the presses as fast as possible. And otherwise, thank you all for watching us.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next week.
Thank you.
See you all in the future of the Mahjong Continuum. Bye, everyone.
Bye.